and only benefiting the wealthy as we see it at this moment. Now that can change if there's a political movement that said it's got to change, but I don't see the political movement that's going to stop it.
Okay, well let's go back to Adam Smith and his ideas behind free market capitalism. Do you just not buy that idea that this is a system which can have maximum benefit for society because it's efficient?
Adam Smith actually was giving advice to statesmen. And he was saying to statesmen, if you want to grow wealth in your country, then you should actually work with a free market system. Adam Smith never said that the free market system should operate without state intervention and state supervision. Right the way throughout, he was saying to the statesmen, do this and then the country will get wealthy. And Adam Smith also said, and the wealth can then be spread around. That's what Adam Smith said. Now I hear Smith quoted all the time, and all of those aspects of Adam Smith are always left out. It always seems to be, they always say, Adam Smith was about a free market and the state should have nothing to do with it.
No, but his. But even if you accept what you're saying and that what Adam Smith was about, it still remains that he thought that free market capitalism, not in this form perhaps, but in the form he was suggesting, was the best system. Are you accepting that?
No, I'm not. And I'll tell you a very simple reason. Because capitalism is about growth. And it's about 3% compound growth forever. I mean, it varies a lot, of course. But that is the healthy capitalist system grows at a minimum at a 3% compound growth forever. And what we're talking about now is 3% compound growth on the basis of everything that's going on in the world right now. And you think what that means in 20 years' time, and you say, this is an impossibility. You have to find new investment opportunities right now for $1.5 trillion. And if you keep on going at 3%, in 20 years' time, you're going to have to find new investment opportunities, profitable investment opportunities, for $3 trillion. And where are those investment opportunities? Actually, we've been running into problems of where the new investment opportunities are over the last 20 or 30 years, which is why many capitalists don't invest in production anymore. They don't invest in making real things. They just invest in controlling assets, like property. The property market goes, like this, and stock market goes like this. They control resources. They become rentiers. They control intellectual property rights and all those kinds of things. So they're not investing in real things. They're just investing in having more money made out of money.
So your argument is go for zero growth.
Go for zero growth and really redistribute at the same time. It's going to be a big kind of problem to do, difficult to do, but people have to think about it.
Okay, well, talk us through this. You're saying think about this. First of all, that idea of zero growth. How do you go for zero growth? I mean, goodness, it's hard enough when they're aiming for a few percentage points growth.
Well, one of the things I like to do is I like to distinguish between growth and development. And development is about investing in people's creative capacities and powers. You don't need growth to do that. So you could have zero growth, but at the same time you could also have radical transformations in education, in all sorts of...
by redistributing the resources that are already there. By redistributing.
I mean, you look at what have the rich people done with all of that money? They buy 5 mansions, one in Bahamas, one in Long Island, one in Park Avenue, and you kind of go, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. We spread that wealth around. And we educate people.
Is it not already spreading around? I mean, when you look at what has happened as a result of capitalism over decades, what has happened to average wealth, average health, when you look at, lifespan, we're living, 1901, people expected to live 45 till they were 45, 49. 1999, it was 75 to 80. Isn't that as a result of the benefits of capitalism?
One of the places that did that very, very well, exactly that, was China. And it did it without capitalism. Actually, life expectancy when Mao came to power was something like 35, and by the time he died it was around 64, something like that. Infant mortality crashed in China under Mao. No, I'm not apologizing for Mao. I'm not a pro-Maoist, but I'm saying you can do those things without capitalism.
But if these are indicators, and you look at what has happened as a result of capitalism, our life expectancy has increased, our wealth has increased, our leisure time has increased. And there's no, the judgment of happiness I'm putting to the side, because everybody's mind. But our leisure time, when you look back at over 100 years, we have more time to do what we choose to do.
Yes. Well, capitalism is has been a very, very constructive and productive force in history. I mean, I would never deny that, okay? Now we've got to the point where we have all of these things, and the big question is, how can we actually utilize them in a way to contribute to human happiness and well-being and security? At the same time as you say all these things to me, do we live in a more secure world now than we lived in, say, even 30, 40 years ago? Do we live in a world where there's less anxiety than there was, say, 30 or 40 years ago? I'd argue it's a more anxious place, it's a more frenetic place, it's a more insecure place, and people are quite literally scared. I mean, they hide themselves away in gated communities behind locked doors. I mean, what kind of world is that?
Isn't there a problem, though, with when you look at the examples that there are of Marxist societies, or communists, or extreme socialists, is that the record of them is not great on all the things that you're trying to measure.
Agreed. I agree. And part of what I'm writing is to say we therefore have to think about another kind of communism, a different kind of communism of the one that we ever constructed before. And we have to do a critique of those societies in order to come up with an alternative way of living to that which is given to us under capitalism.
Okay, so paint us your utopia. Paint us the ideal. We'll put aside all the historical.
I can paint all kinds of ideas. I would say let's have a decentralized kind of social world in which there are communities which are building themselves in the ways they want. In other words, there's a great deal of freedom of different communities to develop in their own particular way. In other words, we don't want homogeneity, we want actually diversity, and we want the more diversity the better. And actually one of the great things that capitalism has brought us also has been incredible diversity of populations in cities and incredible diversities of lifestyles, and I think that's a very, very positive attribute.
Globalization has been good.
Has been, yes, it has helped, particularly the enmeshing of populations.
But here we are, we've been discussing this for a while, and I've heard you commend various aspects of capitalism as well as criticize it, but when you look back as to the advantages. I haven't heard you yet give an example of a communist society for which you consider a benefit and a good thing.
If I was a medieval monk and you asked me to give you an example of what good capitalism would look like, I wouldn't have the faintest idea what to say, right?
But you reject, when I used the word belief earlier, you rejected it, and that's why I wonder if it isn't a belief.
I think we can believe in processes of change. And one of the things I tried to do in the book that I've just written was to talk about the processes of social change, how the social change should occur. And the method, if you like, of arriving at a better society than the one we are currently in. So where we end up, I don't see a utopia which is a fixed